welcome to Samvad. I am Subhash Jangala, Joint Director in the Directorate General of Administration and Taxpayer Services. And I welcome all of you to this three-part episode, Returns and Refunds. 31st December 2021 was the due date for filing of returns for the assessment year 21-22 in the case of individuals and all other SSEs not subject to tax audit. The department has received more than 6 crore returns of income through various modes, out of which e-filing remains to be the easiest and the most favored option. The returns are processed centrally in the centralized processing center of the department, situated at Bengaluru. Subsequent to the processing of the returns, refunds are issued where they are due. For those of you who have already received the refund and those who haven't, we have with us today an insider of the return processing ecosystem. As an officer heading one of the busiest return processing facilities on the planet, he is here to answer questions like, what did I do right to have received my refund so quickly? Or I have done everything right but I have not received the refund yet. What next? Dr. Sibichan K. Matthew belongs to the 1992 batch of the Indian Revenue Service. He has about 29 years of experience in working in government in various capacities, including the posts of Commissioner of Income Tax TDS, Commissioner of Income Tax Appeals, and as an advisor in the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. A best-selling author and a recipient of various recognitions from CBDT and other professional and academic bodies, he is presently posted as the Director of Income Tax at the Centralized Processing Center at Bengaluru, Karnataka. Thank you for joining us today, sir. In session 1 of Returns and Refunds, we shall be getting an overview about CPC, the recent changes in the e-filing process, and how taxpayers have fared this filing season. So, sir, CPC ITR is one of the most important founding blocks of the entire income tax department in its functioning. And CPC, as on date, processes 98% of all the returns that are filed. Can you explain a bit about what all happens behind the doors of CPC?
Thank you, Subhash. Namaste. As the name suggests, Central Processing Center, we process the returns. In this process, we start with the filing of returns by taxpayers. We facilitate that, then process the returns, then issue the intimations to taxpayers. If there is a rectification to be done, we rectify the such applications which have been given by the taxpayers. Based on that, further processing will happen and we issue the refund. And if there is any demand to be adjusted, we do that prior to release of refund. Apart from this, we also account all the income tax assessments done by assessing officers in the field. That also finally come to CPC and we account it.
Thank you, sir. Sir, so this year was the first time when the new e-filing portal of the income tax department was used by taxpayers to file their returns. So how was the experience of CPC and how was the complaints by taxpayers on the new portal?
Yes, this is a very, very important question, Subhash. Basically, people ask why there is a new portal, why it was required. The old portal we started 10 years back. So if you want to add new functionalities, the old portal cannot be equipped for that. It was almost near the end of service in infrastructure in terms of hardware and software. So in order to have more functionalities, we need, say, a technological upgradation. For that, we launched the new income tax portal after 10 years. Now, what are the new features in this portal? The foremost thing is that e-proceeding functionality that has been built in the new portal. That means any taxpayer for assessment proceedings, the taxpayers need not step into income tax office. To the assessing officer, through the online mode, they can submit the documents, and they can also, whatever arguments they would like to say in support of their claims, that also can be done through online mode. And we have a video conference facility enabled in the portal, through which assessing officer can ask questions to the taxpayer, and taxpayer can provide explanations. And though it is started only in the last few months, about 2,000 taxpayers have successfully logged into the portal and had video conferencing with the assessing officers. So that was a very important feature of the new portal. Now, apart from this, we also have the functionality for pre-filling of returns in the new portal. So when you want to file the return, all your income details will be pre-filled, or this will enable the taxpayer to file the return with relative ease. And one more other thing is that there's an integrated communication facility in the e-filing portal. So in the earlier portal, we had e-filing call center and the processing call center. These two were in two different systems. Now what we have an integrated call center and grievance redressal mechanism. So for any grievance related to filing, processing, refunds, demand adjustment, everything will be tackled in one system. It will be helpful for the taxpayer. And most important facility which has come with the new portal is that the speed in processing. The speed has increased drastically in the new portal. With all these facilities, the new portal will be more taxpayer friendly, and any new portal when it starts, it will have its own trial and error initially, and more functionalities will be added one by one. And we are in the process of adding more functionality to make the portal robust. And we also, in the new portal, after this was launched, now we already got something around 6.25 crore returns, the new portal. And I'm happy to say that 4.54 crore of returns have been processed. This is the first time in the history of CPC, in the same year, within a few months of filing your return, the return is getting processed. This is unprecedented in the history of CPC.
Thank you, sir. Sir, in the in the life cycle of filing a return and processing it and issuing a refund, the verification or the submission of a verification by the taxpayer is a very important part, which the department has always highlighted to the taxpayers that please verify your returns as soon as you can. So how was the compliance in that respect by taxpayers in this year?
Yes, Subhash. When you file your return, it will become a valid document only when you verify the return. Now, there are different modes of verification, like electronic verification and paper mode. In the earlier years, people were sending the ITRV by post to the CPC to validate the return. Now, because of the technological awareness among the taxpayers, we are happy to note that 91% of taxpayers e-verify the return. And only 9% taxpayers still they prefer to take a printout, download the ITRV and send it to the CPC. And out of this 91% of people who are e-verified, 87% of them they do it through Aadhaar OTP. It is a very simple process. So that has made us, it enabled us to process the return fast. Because unless the return is verified, we cannot process the return. So that is one thing. And regarding those who sent ITRV by post, almost all the ITRVs we accept, but in some rare cases what happened, they send the ITRV without putting their signature. Unless the signature is put in it, it cannot be taken as a valid document. And some ITRV paper copies when they send Xerox copies. So the signature has to be in original because we save all those documents for any legal purposes. So that way, e-verification has helped us to do speedy processing of returns. And another point, Subhash, I would like to say that the contact information in the return, as well as the e-filing portal, the profile, that is very important. Now, this entire thing is done electronically. Now, after we file the return, if there is an error, if something is defective, if there is a prima facie adjustment, we need to communicate to the taxpayer. For that, we need to have proper email ID and cell phone number of the taxpayer in the return. Now, we have given in the return two options like primary email ID, secondary email ID, and also you can give two telephone numbers. Our request would be all the taxpayers, please fill in your own personal email ID or personal mobile number as a primary email ID and primary contact number, both in income tax return as well as in the portal. In your profile page, you have to update that. Why we are stressing that? When we issue a communication, many times what we have observed, the communication is not responded. Now, we are saying that the refund is failed. We have to communicate to the taxpayer, see, whatever bank account you have given, refund we have issued, refund failed. So this has to be promptly communicated. It has to be received by a bona fide person in the correct email ID. Many times what happens, we will ask someone to file our returns. Maybe it can be a tax return preparer or any person. What happens, sometimes that person gives his email ID there. And secondary email or maybe yours, but you think that okay, the mail must be going to the other person who files, he will respond. There is a possibility that that person ignores or did not respond on time. Such cases, what happens, when we send a communication, there is a time limit. You need to respond within that time limit. If there is no response, what we conclude that there is nothing for you to explain. So we will go by whatever conclusion we reach based on whatever decision at that time we take for during processing. So this is one very important thing that all taxpayers should bear in mind, that always update in case there's a change of email ID or phone number, please update in the profile page promptly. So instantly we will change whatever communication to the new email ID and the contact number.
Thank you, sir. Sir, and this is the first year in respect of e-filing wherein we have pre-filled the returns of the taxpayers in a very wide way. And we also have received several positive feedback from taxpayers saying that this is a step ahead and this is a step ahead in the right direction. So what has been the experience of CPC and how was the compliance of taxpayers in this respect? And were there any challenges in the implementation of this?
Yes. This is the first year we implemented pre-filling of data in the return. When you start filing the return, you will get your return there itself almost pre-filled. So your personal information, that data will be there. Your gross total income data will be there. That your deductions, that data will be there. Tax payment details, tax liability, all these things will be there pre-filled. So there is an annual information statement, AIS. It is available in the portal. From there only this data is getting pre-filled. Now if any taxpayer wants to see what are the information, this information come to government, to department from various sources. Various departments, agencies, banks. They are supposed to intimate the financial transactions of PAN holders. All this will be land in annual information system. It comes as a annual information statement to the taxpayer. It is available in the portal. There is also a taxpayer information summary. So from this, it is getting pre-filled. Now, when you are filing the return, you can go through this. And if you think that certain data is not correct, you can edit it. And certain income data, in case you feel this is not correct, there is a feedback option there in the portal, in the return functionality, where you can say this is incorrect, this is duplicate, you can deny the transaction. So that also will be captured. Now, one important thing, since it is already pre-filled, please don't think that this contains comprehensively all your income. This is only suggestive. So if you have any other income which is not mentioned there, you need to necessarily include in your return of income. Another important aspect through pre-filling is the 26-year statement. So whatever tax paid in terms of TDS, TCS if it is there, advance tax, self-assessment tax, all these also will be captured in the pre-filling. Go through it. If you think that is some advance tax which is you paid not reflected, don't worry, you fill it up in your return. So that way pre-filling will be very useful for the taxpayers. For the ease of filing will be more smoother.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. So, like you had already noted that out of the 6.7 crore returns that were totally filed this year, several crores of returns have already been processed and refunds have been issued. But we also have several taxpayers who have either identified or have realized that there was an omission or there was an inaccuracy in the information that they had submitted in the process of filing. So what is the process that they need to follow in if they want to rectify or if they want to make these changes in the returns that they have filed?
After you file the return, later on you find, oh, I have omitted something, some income, or some changes I have to make in the return. You can come with a revised return within the time prescribed in the Income Tax Act. And you can under section 139(5). Only thing is that you need to quote your old acknowledgement number for filing the original return and also date of filing. Then you can go for revised return. Now there is a new proposal in the recent finance bill, the updated return concept that is also has been introduced. Once it is passed with the Parliament, definitely more guidelines will be coming later to that, which the proposal is that within 1 year or within 2 years, respectively, a taxpayer will be able to update the returns by paying a little extra charges for that.
Thank you, sir. Sir, in the case of a deceased person, the unfortunate death of a taxpayer, there is a provision wherein a legal heir can file the return on behalf of the deceased person. Can you please explain the process that we have in the e-filing portal as on date to facilitate taxpayers in this respect?
Registration of legal heir, this is the functionality for this very clearly mentioned, detailed in e-filing portal. The steps are very comprehensive, but very systematically is presented in the portal. Any legal heir, those who want to file the return on behalf of the taxpayer or to claim the refund, there is a procedure in the e-filing portal, and they need to submit, they need to upload the documents such as legal heir certificate. It is obtained by maybe the court of law, or maybe it can be through a registered will. There could be some evidence related to the authenticity of that claim. And also we have indemnity certificate is available in the portal, which can be downloaded. With all the enclosures, it can be submitted, uploaded to the e-filing portal, and we go through it and Income Tax Authority approves that. So that is for the legal heir. Same way for representative assessees. Now, in case taxpayer is unable to file the return personally, or the claim refund, or for any reason, or that person is abroad, In that case also, there is systematic guidelines have been given in the portal. They have to apply and get the approval done. So it is not a very complicated process. But at the same time, people might ask why such a complicated process. In the sense, comprehensively, we are asking for so many documents. We in the past we faced a lot of issues that certain refund was pending for a deceased taxpayer, and there are a lot of people coming to claim among the relatives or whatever due to some disputes. And there are cases where even representative assessee also later on taxpayer come that I have not given the power to anyone to file the return on my behalf. So because of these past legal issues, we have made it slightly stringent in the sense it is not a complicated process, but you have to necessarily submit certain document which need to be verified at our level.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that, sir. So that session guided us through the background of the Centralized Processing Center and the compliances by taxpayers in this filing season. In the next part of returns and refunds, we shall be looking at how fast the processing was this year. Also, if you have received any intimation about any disallowance or demand, do not miss the next session. Until then, thank you and Jai Hind.